you have to think of it like this: if you can't limit your caffeine consumption in the day, that is also telling you that you're sleep deprived. What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to talk about a topic that is incredibly close to home because I have struggled for so long to optimize my sleep. I've just been telling myself I don't need as much sleep as everybody else. I can get through it, I can have more caffeine, it will be absolutely fine. I know there are going to be so many people out there as well watching this video who'll be in the same place. But I've made this video today to talk about the importance of sleep when it comes to achieving your fitness related goals. So if you're looking to build muscle mass right now, if you're looking to drop body fat, whatever it is, sleep is going to be your best friend here. So what I'm going to be going through in this training video today is all about sleep, how you can optimize it, and how you can get to a place where you feel more energized, more refreshed, and you have energy every single day and passion to get up and do what you're doing. If you're wanting to better yourself right now, whether that is building muscle, dropping fat, you have to have enough sleep, because let's face it, sleep is the time where your body recharges, where it relaxes, and where you hit refresh before another day of stimulus and another day of training. So if you're not sleeping correctly, then you're never going to be able to perform at the highest level you can possibly be performing at. So sleep deprivation is something that affects so many people. Now, people like to parade around and say that I don't sleep that much, I need less sleep than him or her or whoever. But the fact of the matter is, as humans, we all have basic biological needs, and if those needs aren't being met, our bodies are going to show those signs. Now, for some, that may be weight gain, that may be, the cortisol levels rising from stress because you're not letting your body recharge when you sleep. And I can go into the science of that in a little bit as to how that happens. But if you're not letting yourself sleep enough, which, by the way, is 7 to 9 hours for the average adult, if you're listening to that thinking, I can't remember the last time I got 7 to 9 hours, if right now you also have elements of stress in your daily life, if you feel that you are holding on to excessive body fat, this is one of the leading factors in weight gain, a lack of sleep. So aside from all of the other detrimental health effects that sleep deprivation can have, such as increased risk of heart disease, cancers, Alzheimer's, dementia, and the list goes on, there are so many ill health effects of not sleeping enough. So it really is something that you need to prioritize as much. Sleep is needed because recovery has to occur after we break our muscles down. So when we train, when we're physically active, whether that's doing calisthenics workouts, going for a run, living your daily life, you're breaking down muscle fibers, and you have to have a time to repair. So you need a time for your body to recharge and re-energize, like I mentioned before. So that's what sleep is for. Mentally is something that we don't consider often, right? Mentally we have to hit refresh as well, because if you're not giving yourself a chance to replenish every single piece of data you've taken on in that day, then how are you ever going to be able to move forwards in life? If you're taking on all of these new ideas, the stresses of daily life, you have to allow yourself to relax and just process that data. And I'm going to come to this in a bit, but your REM sleep, that rapid eye movement, that's the time in the night where your body and your brain is processing so much information that you get during the day. It's taking that from your short term to your long term memory. And without getting adequate sleep times, which again I'm going to go into in a second, you are not going to be able to let your body do that. So essentially you're giving yourself a disservice by not letting yourself recharge and store some of those memories and things you've learned in any given day in the deeper areas of your mind. There are a few different stages to sleep, and those 3 stages can be mainly categorized as light, REM or rapid eye movement, and deep sleep. REM sleep, that is the most critical part of sleep. That is where your body restores your bodily functions, your organs get a time to cleanse, your mind is going deeper into what you've just taken in that day, all of the sensory inputs you've taken, it decides what to store and what not to store. Any stress that's been given to your body or your mind that day, in REM sleep, that is where it's refreshed. And if you are depriving yourself of REM sleep, which should be between an hour and a half and 2 hours every night, or at least 20 to 25% of your total sleep time, if you're not getting enough REM sleep, then your recovery from your workouts and from your training is going to be hugely affected. And also your long-term memory is going to be massively affected too. And most people out there are not getting enough REM sleep. That is the number one problem of so many of those ill health effects that I just mentioned earlier, that lack of REM sleep. So that is the critical part. And what we often think is that alcohol or other substances are going to help us get to sleep and they're going to make us tired. But the actual truth of it, and this isn't going to sound nice, but the actual truth of it is that when you have a little drink before you go to bed, or you have something else, that is actually getting your body into a place of sedation, and sedation is not sleep. That's something that Matthew Walker, this neuroscientist, talks about all the time. He says how it's so critical that we get enough REM sleep, and that is only when we're in a place of complete rest. So I'm going to go into how you can make your sleep environment optimal and your evening routines optimal for making sure you do rest in a really nice way. I've told you all of these harsh facts about how awful it is when you're not getting enough sleep, but I'm sure all you want to hear is how do I make my sleep better? So often we always think, look, I don't have enough time, how can I possibly sleep for longer? Well, if you don't think you can sleep for longer, you can probably sleep better, and there are a few things I'm going to tell you now that will help you optimize when you are asleep and how effective your sleep is. You're watching this right now on a technological device. You're on a computer, you're on a laptop, you're on a phone, but light that you get from screens, that in this 21st century world we live in, that's the biggest thing, the biggest sensory input we take in every single day is blue light. Blue light is going to make sure that melatonin, the sleep hormone, is suppressed, so you're never going to get to that sleepy state. So if you're looking at your screens all the way into the evening, you're going to get to a point where your body's circadian rhythm, and that is the rhythm that controls essentially when the sun comes up, yes, I should be awake, when the sun goes down, I should be asleep. If you're looking at that artificial light, that's going to really mess with your circadian rhythm, and your ability to fall asleep quickly and effectively is going to be messed up too. So one thing that I really like to do is to use blue light glasses. Now they're really simple, it's just a certain filter that blocks out that blue light. You can put your screens to a kind of night saver mode, and that makes the screen warmer, more yellow, and it reduces the amount of blue light that comes out of the screen. But the best thing honestly to do is just to limit screen time. And that doesn't sound very ideal because we all like to sit and watch films in the evening, but if you want the most effective form of sleep, you have to start a few hours before you go to sleep, optimizing that evening routine, telling your body, okay, it's sleep time now, I'm not taking on my stresses of the day-to-day work, I'm not going to be consumed with the thoughts that I had to be consumed with 3 hours ago. When you get to 3 or 4 hours before you're going to go to sleep, you have to have that wind down routine. If you're working non-stop, as many of us are right now at home, you're on your laptop until 9, 10, 11 at night, and you think, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. Your body doesn't work like that. It's a complex ecosystem of so many different moving parts. You have to make sure that your evening routines are consistent enough that you get into a sleep cycle. So one other point is to make sure you're going to bed at the same time and waking up at a similar time every single day, because you can get to a place where your body's circadian rhythm is so organized that you can go to sleep and wake up without an alarm to the minute at the exact same time every day. This is what I've been doing for months now, and it's incredible how effective your body can get at waking up. I'll set an alarm for 7 AM and I wake up at 6:59 before that alarm goes on. And it's crazy, but your body is amazing when you start giving it some consistency. So look, you have to wind down with these habits before you go to bed. So dimming the lights is something that is very simple. We can do that. You can just turn your lights on, put some side lights. You can see near me, I've got some little mood lights, these little LED lights. Behind me, I also have another little light, if you can see that. And those are things that at night, what I like to do is just turn the main lights off, keep these warm, orangey, yellowy colored lights on, and they help so much because they keep you, in that mood of you're slowly going to sleep, you're winding down, and you're not tricking your body with that blue light. Okay, so this next point now we're going to get to is figuring out how you can make your sleep better. So if you don't have more time to sleep, what can you do to make your sleep more effective? what I'm gonna say is the best thing to do is honestly to have the most restful room possible. So right now, where many of us are working from home, it's probably going to be tricky to segment in your house, your flat, wherever you live, different areas in your place of living for different things. But if you are working in your bedroom and you go from a place of stress and anxiety at your office to suddenly leaning into your bed that's right next to you, you're never going to be feeling truly rested. Whereas if you can work in a different place in the house, that's going to help you a ton. So that's one thing. Another is that making your sleep environment in your bedroom as relaxing as possible. So we actually like to sleep in slightly colder temperatures. So if possible, you can open the window, or if it's the winter, just turn down the heating a tiny bit, and that will help you fall asleep a little bit quicker and fall asleep for longer. Another thing you can do, using blackout curtains, using an eye mask, using earplugs, anything you need to make sure that you're going to be disturbed as little as possible in the night. Because what we want to do is, like I said, remove that urge to wake up in the night. So if you are sleeping for 6 or 7 hours, you want to make sure you're getting as much of those hours in restful sleep as possible. You don't want to have time where you are waking up for an hour or two. You'll never notice that you're up for an hour, but it's lots of 10-minute bursts, and your body goes through sleep cycles. So to reach REM sleep, the amazing phase of the sleep cycle I mentioned earlier, you have to go through light, going into REM, and then deep after that. It's a long journey, and that cycle takes 2 to 3 hours. So if you are an hour into that cycle and something rustles you next to you, or there's a noise outside, or there's light coming through the curtains and you wake up, that's how often we can wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle and feel disorientated and we don't know where we are. If you wake up after some clean sleep cycles, i.e. 2 to 3 hours at a time, you have 3 of those sleep cycles. If you wake up after 6 hours or 7 hours, you're probably going to feel fairly rested because you will have woken up at a perfect time within your sleep cycle. So one of the things you can do is really try and make sure that you're minimizing disruption. So minimizing noises. If that means that you need earplugs, if you sleep with a partner in your bed, it is tricky. It's definitely harder to do that, but try and make sure you guys are going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, so one of you isn't waking up the other. And there are a few things like that that you can do, and it really does help, using blackout curtains, all of those other things, and just making it a peaceful space. If you're going on your phone just before bed, I speak about this often, but if you're going on your phone just before bed and you've got stress, you've got social media giving you anxiety and these natural emotions we feel from looking online and the worlds we live in today, if we're going on that right up to our time of rest and our bedtime, that's going to be really, really hard for you to get out of that mindset of stress. And this comes down to something that I often talk about, which is trying to minimize stress in your evenings. And then obviously that's going to affect your sleep a lot. So one thing I try to do is come off my phone for half an hour or even an hour, if possible, before my bedtime. So if I'm planning on going to sleep at 10:30, I should really have my phone off by 9:30. Now I'm not saying this always happens, it absolutely doesn't, but the optimum solution would be to have your phone off. So to turn it onto airplane mode, or if you have an iPhone, you can even set limits for each app as to how much screen time you've used that day, and then it minimizes them and you don't even get notifications. It's awesome. So yeah, I would definitely say just reduce screen time as much as possible and set yourself a rule, set this new standard in your body, in your mind, that you are not allowed to look at your phone once you've gone into that bedroom or into that bed. Because if you wake up halfway through the night and you check your emails or you check your notifications, that is not serving you. You have to think about this and putting yourself first. If you check your phone and you get something that's going to stress you out, how are you ever going to sleep again? You're not, there's no way. And we have enough stresses day to day that it's not worth waking up, checking your phone in the middle of the night. Some of us do it, we naturally do. We want to check social media, we want to check our work emails, our messages. It's not going to help. So please just try and keep your phone off. That will help you so much. And likewise in the morning, when you wake up and you're in that drowsy state, don't check your phone. Don't go over to your bedside table and pick up your phone. Ideally, you shouldn't even have your phone in your bedroom. You should have an alarm clock if possible. If nothing else, put your phone on airplane mode, and then you can just use that for the alarm if you have to. But that brings me onto the subject of mornings, and when you want to wake up, to be more peacefully awakened in the morning, you should be using a light alarm. So there's an alarm I have that was super cheap and affordable to get, and it's just an alarm that it starts off with a light and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it mimics what it would be sunlight coming through the window, and then a nice gentle alarm comes on. So if you don't have one of those, just use a gentle alarm. Don't use something blaring that's going to stress you out in the morning first thing, but use something that will gradually wake you up. And the reason I like those light alarms so much is that they really just mimic the circadian rhythm of the sun coming up. So in the winter, especially here in the UK where it is so dark in the winter compared to the summer, it really helps to just reset that natural body clock, and you'll feel so much nicer waking up in the morning. If you feel like you're not sleepy enough at the end of the night and you feel like you can't get to sleep, that's a real problem some of us have. What I would say is look at your caffeine intake. So if you don't drink coffee, that's absolutely fine. But what I would say is if you are having caffeine on a daily basis, think about when you're digesting that caffeine last, because caffeine has at least a 6-hour half-life, which means that it takes up to 6 hours for it to be 50% out of your system and 12 hours to be completely out of your system. So even if you were to drink coffee at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, at midday, that is going to be until midnight before it's fully out of your system. And granted, you can probably fall asleep if you're particularly sleep deprived, like we mentioned you might be, before that point. But optimally, you want to be having caffeine in the day before 12, if possible. At the very least before 2, because you have to think of it like this: if you can't limit your caffeine consumption in the day, that is also telling you that you're sleep deprived. So get more sleep, you won't need as much caffeine anyway, and then when you are having caffeine, make sure it's earlier in the day. That's a super useful tip. Okay, so I hope that video on sleep was useful, guys. That was actually taken from my premium coaching academy that I run for my fitness coaching business. So I feel like optimizing your lifestyle is as important as optimizing your workouts and your nutrition. So this is something that I always work really closely with all of my clients on when it comes to these deeper issues, whether that's sleep, stress management, and other lifestyle issues. I feel it's so beneficial to look at. Let me know if you want to learn any more about this. This is a topic that I've been looking into for a long time and I'm insanely passionate about, as you can guess. I appreciate you all for coming here and watching this video till the end, and I will catch you in the next one. Please make sure if you enjoyed this video to hit like, hit subscribe, and share this video with a friend if you found it valuable, and I will catch you all in the next one.